Hey everybody, welcome back. Today I'm going to show you something that I think is really cool. I'm going to show you the mask that I finally arrived at the end of my search for a new mask to replace my dye i4s. Before I get into the actual mask I settled on, let me just kind of explain what was going on here. My i4s were great, I had them for many years and I really liked them. I thought they breathed very well, I thought the lens was excellent, they were very comfortable, they sat comfortably on my face. The coverage left a little bit to be desired, but that was kind of a secondary concern. The overall mask and goggles I thought were fantastic. But I had a problem using the i4s in conjunction with a camera, either a GoPro or a Contour, because the foam around the nose is so soft that the weight of the camera sitting on top actually compresses it all the way down to where the plastic frame was sitting on my nose, and every time I played, I got a scrape across the bridge of my nose. So I needed to find new goggles. I searched long and hard, high and low, and I finally settled on these as my new goggles. These are modified JT Flex 8s. So you have a lot of pros and cons because it's based on the JT Spectra platform. The Spectra lens is excellent, thermal, wide field of view, cheap, readily available. You can get it clear, tinted, amber, whatever. You have a lot of options. Great. The obvious downside is, of course, the lens change, which is not a quick change lens system. It uses those infamous tabs that everybody hates. However, with a little bit of practice, you can get these down to fairly rapid lens changes. By no means is it a quick change lens, but I've seen videos online of people doing it in 15-20 seconds. It's doable, it's not as bad as it's made out to be with a little bit of practice. So I figured that was the trade-off to be able to get this really nice foam that's not going to compress and hurt my nose. And in testing that out, this frame worked great. I used it with the camera and I didn't have any problems with my nose. So there we go. For the bottoms, I could have gone with the JT ProFlex bottoms, which are extremely breathable and comfortable, but I feel like they just don't offer enough protection. Another option that I tried out and actually really liked was the E-Flex bottoms, which are very similar to the JT ProFlex bottoms. They're a little more rigid. They're a little bit of a tighter fit around your face. They don't stick out quite so far. They're just as breathable and they offer slightly better coverage on the chin and jawline. However, I really don't like the soft bottoms at all because I feel like the goggles then are somewhat fragile. And if I pick it up by the bottom, like I'm holding it here, then I feel like I can kind of misshape the goggles, or if I don't store them correctly, they'll end up misshapen. So I decided not to go with the flexible bottoms. Instead, I went with JT Flex 8 lowers. You can see they have the black, more rigid framework, and then the slightly more flexible venting in gray. Overall, these are not very flexible from the front. You see I'm holding these and they're pretty stable. Or you can see I'm pushing on it and it's not really compressing at all, which is good because you get hit in the face, you don't want your goggles to smack you in the face. But on the sides, you have a fairly high degree of flexibility, so you might catch a bounce off of one of the lower cheek portions, and that's nice. At the same time, they're extremely breathable. You can see all the venting in here. It's very nice. It's just barely not as good as a ProFlex bottom or an E-Flex bottom, but it's definitely in that same league. This is a quite breathable mask. And then, of course, there are the ears. Now, JT ears are, let's be honest, terrible. The soft ears that come with the ProFlexes are awful. They don't offer enough coverage. They're little pieces of foam. They're just bad. The Flex 8s are actually rigid all the way around, and they actually, in their stock form, come up and then over the top and provide a little bit of a brow shield. This is problematic for me for two reasons. One, the bottom of the mask didn't actually cover my entire ear. The plastic cut across my ear, and that was actually rather painful to wear. It was quite uncomfortable. And two, as you can see across the top here, I have the mounting piece for a Contour. So I don't want to have the brow shield coming across the top. The solution to this was, of course, to just cut the bottoms at the ear, essentially, so that the ear portion and the top portion are removed, but I still have the front and side part of the Flex 8 lowers. That left me in a bit of a jam because then I don't have ears, and the solution to that, of course, is when you can't find it, make it. So I made myself a couple of ears for almost nothing using foam I got at the craft store, an X-Acto knife, and some glue, and these ears are fantastic. If you take a look at how these are, let me show you the insides first here. You take a look at the inside, it's not just the ear, okay? It actually goes all the way down to the jawline in here, on the inside of the jawline, and attaches using standard JT screws right there. Okay, so here's the screw on the outside, and you've got that little bracket on the inside, or the little collar where the screw screws into on the inside. That goes all the way down the inside of the jawline. And it's not a really big difference. There's no difference in the front, of course, because it doesn't reach that far. For a couple of inches, it's really not much of a big difference in terms of the added protection from these ears versus the jawline of the goggles themselves. But then when you get back into the ear region, you see I left these very low instead of coming up. And let me show you what that accomplishes. You put these on, you can see my entire ear is covered here, and the back part of my jaw is also fairly well protected. This protection is much better than the Dye i4s, the ProFlex, the eFlex. Really, there aren't many goggles on the market today that have this type of jawline coverage and ear coverage. With ears this substantial though, one major problem is going to be hearing, right? You don't want the ears to muffle your ability to hear what's going on in the field. So I actually put lots and lots of little holes in here. It's not the cleanest job, but I have lots of little holes in here. And up by the strap, I took a leaf out of JT's book right here and cut 2 big holes under where the strap goes. All right, and then I have this little piece of foam right here. This isn't actually for comfort. I cut out a small rectangle of foam, put it on either side, just in front of where the strap goes through the ears. This is to push the ear up off my head just a little bit, so instead of sitting against my ear and pressing and muffling the sound, it sits just a little bit off so that it doesn't do that and I can hear much more clearly. So these are my new goggles after the long search for a pair of goggles to replace my Dye i4s. These are JT Flex 8s essentially with homemade ears. Spectra frame, Spectra lens, Flex 8 front and sides, homemade ears from craft foam that I designed myself. As usual, if you can't find what you want, making it yourself is a great solution. Here's another example of that right here. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.